Bureau, the one and only Luke Johnson joins us right now. He is co-host of the SuperTalk Eagle Hour. Hello, Luke.
Good Thursday to you, Richard.
Got the sun beaming in through the windows there in your office. What is it, about 85 in Hattiesburg right now?
86.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, looking out, we've got a big pond behind our house and sun sparkling off of it, so it's a good afternoon.
Absolutely a good afternoon. Let's talk hoops for a minute. So Southern Miss loses last night on the road at Old Dominion. Lose the game by 5. To me, that in and of itself is just not a big deal. You lose basketball games sometimes, and as we have talked about, the thing that matters is positioning for the conference tournament, making sure you're one of those top 4 so that you get the double bye and you put yourself in a chance to get an automatic berth into the NCAA tournament. But flip side of that is after the 9 straight wins, they've lost 2 out of their last 3, and that includes a 30-point loss mixed in there on the road at South Alabama last week. Is there reason to be concerned all of a sudden about this Southern Miss team, or no?
On road trips, they're actually 1-3 in the first game. So this is the first Wednesday they played, but you look back through the season, they lost at Louisiana, they lost at Marshall, they lost at South Al. Actually, 1-4 because those are all road games. So first game road trip hasn't been good for them. They took a charter trip. Charter flight actually got into San Marcos late last night, so they had just today to be able to rest and stuff. That was one of the problems earlier in the year was the travel. This is the longest travel for them in the year. But you look at what they did last night. Hasse led the way. Crowley had, I think, 11. Pinckney had 15. Alvarez went 0 for 7 from the field, and Denaje Harris didn't get involved at all. And so it wasn't so much that Old Dominion – held out the big 3. Crowley scored less than what he usually does, but they didn't allow kind of the collateral side peripheral damage that usually some of the guys off the bench do, and that's why Old Dominion was able to hang on. Eagles got cold down the stretch, and we talked to Nick Williams, assistant coach, today on the Eagle Hour, and just the messages. I mean, they know what they got to do. They've wrapped up a double bye, but they have to have Old Dominion beat Marshall. And they have to beat Texas State on the road tomorrow to clinch that regular season conference championship. If they don't do that, they'll beat 2. There's just kind of a outside chance they could fall to 3. But the benefit, even if they get the second seed, they would avoid Marshall really into the conference tournament final.
And that's the team that you're most concerned about, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some of these teams, like Texas State played Southern Miss crazy good. And you look at, you may have to face South Alabama again in round 1 and that Saturday if they get through, and they just had the Eagles' numbers. So we thought there was going to be a whole lot of parity this year in the league, and talking with guys around the league that watch every day, I mean, every week, they say the same thing. I mean, so it could just be a team gets really hot. And I think you said it to close out last segment. It's the best team that plays in the tournament that's going to go to the big dance.
All right, so in terms of net rankings, and this isn't necessarily the be-all, end-all, but it factors in. 83 is the net ranking. If Southern Miss were to end up not being the regular season champion, and you laid out the scenario for a second ago, and let's say that they lose in the semifinals or the finals, is there concern about not only not making the NCAA tournament, but missing out on the NIT as well because of the way that's selected in comparison to how it used to be selected?
So if you win tomorrow and you win one, you're at 26. If you lose in the final, you're at 27. It's hard for me to believe that 27-17 gets left out of the NIT. It could happen. But what is it? I mean, you can't really do anything about it, can you? If you make it to the final,
Yeah.
I think if they make it to the final, they're locked in for the NIT. But I still think there's an argument to be made, at 26-7 to get into the NIT for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess in terms of the way that the NCAA looks at it, they're looking at 21-6 because those D2 games get taken out of it. But again, I don't know that it, I don't have a firm grasp on exactly how they determine who gets in the NIT anymore. And maybe, because there was a time where so much of that was financial. It's like, what do you bid in terms of trying to host games? And you could almost kind of buy your way into it. But when the NCAA took that over, they handled the seeding. And obviously, a regular season conference champion that doesn't get an automatic bid is guaranteed a berth in the NCAA tournament. You don't know exactly how many of those there are going to be, and then you select the rest of the field after that.
Yeah, I mean, if Marshall were to win the regular season and then win the tournament, and Southern Miss would lose to them, in the final, then yeah, they're in the NIT. If they were to get beat by a 20-plus win Louisiana team in the semifinal, it's just they would probably, though, unless somebody makes a run, they would probably be in the Sun Belt, have the highest number of wins of any of them. Just depends on whether they win tomorrow or not.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out.
I do also want to mention real quick. Sorry to interrupt. Lady Eagles will earn a double bye tomorrow. There's a 5-way tie in first for second place. They knocked Troy out of first place last night. Scored 88 points. So we kind of talked about them all year, but Lady Eagles are doing really well in the Sun Belt as well. Earn a double bye tomorrow if they win.
And we saw the announcement earlier today. We haven't even talked about this. Both the Gillum Trophy and the Howell Trophy finalists have been announced, and Southern Miss has one a finalist for both of those, Dominique Davis on the women's side and Austin Crowley on the men's side.
Yeah, I'm really proud of Dom Davis. She's battled a lot of injuries, and I mean, phenomenal transfer from LSU. Southern Miss fans really like to watch her play. As a guard, she'll sometimes get 8-9 rebounds. She had 9 rebounds last night. So she's had a multiple Sun Week Player of the Week awards, and so she should possibly do well in that one. And Crowley, we've talked about him. Just really thankful he's in Hattiesburg.
All right, so Southern Miss baseball off to a really good start. They get the sweep over Liberty last weekend. Kind of pulled the bats out in the midweek win, and now getting set for Illinois coming in this weekend. Your thoughts? We haven't talked yet with you about the opening weekend.
Yeah, I mean, not much offense in Game 1 and Game 2, and that's because of the 2 pitchers that Liberty threw. Southern Miss, was able to scrap and really good pitchers. The guy they faced in Game 1, Horn, I mean, he's going to be he's a high draft prospect next year. Scott Berry told us Monday he was more impressed with Moran in Game 2 than he was Horn in Game 1, and Golden Eagles able to find some runs late. They faced Tepper, a transfer from Mississippi State, in Game 3, and were able to get after him as a righty, which you would expect this offense to be able to hit righties better. Tuesday night was just they overmatched UNO. Billy Oldham, we talked about him, the transfer from Eastern Connecticut State, has a just mesmerizing changeup. I mean, it sometimes it'll move 15, 20 inches. I mean, it was pretty impressive to watch. He threw 5 innings of shutout baseball, didn't allow a hit, struck out 9. He looks a lot like Hunter Riggins when you see him pitch. And Monastery from Northwest Rankin made his debut. They didn't allow a hit till the 7th inning, and so through 4 games, this pitching staff has allowed 3 runs total, 2 of them earned.
That's pretty incredible. And we talked about Illinois coming in this weekend, so a 3-game series with a Big Ten team. No changes in terms of the rotation. Kind of know what we're going to get, right?
Yeah, they've already announced it, same as last weekend. Hall, Adams, and Mazza. One thing to watch on the offensive side, Tay Parker, who came from Pearl River Community College, hit a home run last weekend. He tweaked his hammy just a little bit, coming around third in the game Tuesday. But the guy that came in to replace him, Reese Ewing, who went 2 for 2 and had 3 RBIs. So, Ewing was, a power hitter last year, great hitter for Southern Miss, and he and Parker have been platooning out and left. So if Parker can't go, I mean, you don't lose anything with Reese Ewing. And I think we will talk, throughout this year, the depth that Southern Miss has on the offensive side of the ball, not just the pitching staff. That's something they didn't have last year.
Yeah. Certainly a good start to the year, and Scott, when we talked with him on Monday, just kind of glowed about Matt Etzel and what he did defensively in center field. I don't know if you heard it or not. Said he's the best center fielder in terms of kind of range and going and getting balls that he's had in his time as both an assistant and as a head coach. And I thought that was a pretty big statement.
His last three center fielders are Montenegro, Trimble, and Wallner. That tells you just a little bit. Etzel got another double on Tuesday night, so he's got three in the first four games.
That seems good. That seems good.